Kia ora koutou, Markie here. So I am pointing my camera at the screen here for a reason, but if that jazzing effect that you get makes you feel peculiar or is likely to trigger a seizure or anything like that, don't look at the screen, just listen to my dulcet tones. There's no need to look at the screen because all I want to do is just feature this channel briefly. So this is Virginia, she's called, and she does amazing artwork and puts it on a YouTube channel. And she has suggested that I read a particular poem. I've been reading poetry on YouTube, so I thought I'd just give her a bit of a plug. So I'm sure she won't mind me showing her channel. She does fluid art, and it's quite fascinating. The end product is amazing, and the process is quite hypnotic to watch. So just while I'm doing the intro, I will show you play her video. I'll move it on a little bit so you get the gist of what we do. Maybe fast forward it so you can get the sense of the process. Well worth a watch. She does some really interesting stuff. So she suggested that I read The Walrus and the Carpenter because I read Jabberwocky the other day, and she likes The Walrus and the Carpenter. So thank you for the request. So I'm going to read The Walrus. I can't say it. I don't have problems pronouncing my W's or my R's, but the Walrus and the Walrus is a funny word, isn't it? Now it's an interesting thing because I'm sometimes known as the walrus, the grizzled walrus of retroactive jealousy. So a quick preamble. Now bear in mind this is YouTube, okay? It's not the television, okay? So don't leave a comment saying when we get to the point. You know, the channel is very chatty and friendly because I have, you know, regular people that follow. And sometimes we're giving updates on general things as well as the main topic. So it's not like this kind of you know, it's not like a TV program where you go straight into the content. It's, you know, it's social media, for crying out loud. So so there is a preamble, and you know, I don't rush, I don't hurry to get to a point. Sometimes there is no point. Sometimes it's just, you know, hanging out with you guys. Okay, it's just like we're chatting by the fire. So and quite often before we get into whatever main kind of thrust of what we're going to talk about, I give a little reminder that the purpose of the channel, while we talk about all kinds of things, we read poetry and we do we talk about weird paranormally stuff sometimes, the purpose of the channel is to help people with a horrible mental health condition called retroactive jealousy, and we have lots of videos on that, free videos with guidance on how to begin the recovery process. And the more you watch any of our videos, especially if you watch them to the end, the more YouTube promotes all of our videos. So just by watching this video, especially if you watch it to the end, you're doing your good deed for the day, which is always nice to be able to do something good for somebody else, isn't it? Unless you're a psychopath. I'm going to do a video about psychopaths next, by the way. I've got that lined up. So that's our goal, and we can't just do stuff on retroactive. We could just do stuff on retroactive jealousy, but you have to put regular videos out on a YouTube channel to make it work. If you don't put them out regularly, the channel just dies. So you have to put regular content out. If I put regular content out about retroactive jealousy, I would be scraping the barrel. I would just be kind of finding things to talk about just for the sake of finding things to talk about, and I do not want to do that. And also I like talking about various things, so and I'd rather have one channel than several channels. So so we cover retroactive jealousy, and we cover miscellaneous, and there's something on this channel for everyone. So check out the playlist and there'll be something for you. So sometimes I read my own poetry, sometimes I read other people's poetry, sometimes we talk philosophy, sometimes we talk psychology, sometimes we do reviews of books and films and all sorts. There's everything. So so check out the playlist and you'll find something for you. But I'm going to read this poem now. I probably should have, I wasn't familiar with this actually, and I read it the other day. I haven't read it since, so I haven't rehearsed this, so we'll see how this goes. I guess if I stumble, then you won't see this video. This will just get, or it might turn into a blooper. And I have to say, I don't particularly like this poem because I don't like the ending. I think it's a bit sad, but there we go. And also the other thing, the other kind of elephant in the room, I suppose I need to mention, is Lewis Carroll himself, who does appear to have been a dubious character in terms of his relationship with young girls. But we don't know for sure. But it doesn't look good. And again, I have to kind of put this in a wider context as well, because I'm a psychotherapist, and a big part of my work is actually working with people who are attracted to minors. And I would say that there's nothing wrong with being attracted to minors. What we know is that it's actually pretty common. Lots of people are attracted to minors, and as far as we're aware, because it's difficult to get data on this, there are the vast majority of people who are attracted to minors never act inappropriately or abusively with minors in a sexual way. Most people who have that attraction are aware that to act on that is harmful, and they don't act on that. And there's whole networks of people who support one another in that goal. So I'm certainly not, when I say he was dubious character, I'm not saying that people that have an attraction to children makes them bad, because you can't help who or what you are attracted to. But obviously any sexual act with a child is harmful, always harmful, in one way or another. And I've done videos on that, so that's why I'm saying, and it's a great shame, isn't it, when somebody that you admire for their work or for other things, and they act inappropriately or in an abusive way, or do something reprehensible, and then you have to kind of make your own decision about how you're gonna reconcile that in your head. Do you still allow yourself to enjoy the work, the artwork, or whatever it might be, whether it's music or poetry, or do you shun the frumious Bandersnatch? Do you shun everything by that artist? And it's kind of interesting, isn't it? It's interesting. Gary Glitter, for example, you never hear Gary Glitter played on the radio anymore, but Michael Jackson played on the radio all the time. So complex and nuanced subject, really. But I felt the need to kind of touch on that really before embarking on this, because obviously he's done some brilliant work. But may have been abusive. So anyway, let's get on to the thing. The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might. He did his very best to make the billows smooth and bright. And this was odd, because it was the middle of the night. The moon was shining sulkily, because she thought the sun had got no business to be there after the day was done. It's very rude of him, she said, to come and spoil the fun. The sea was wet as wet could be, the sands were dry as dry. You could not see a cloud, because no cloud was in the sky. No birds were flying overhead, there were no birds to fly. The Walrus and the Carpenter were walking close at hand. They wept like anything to see such quantities of sand. If this were only cleared away, they said, it would be grand. If 7 maids with 7 mops swept it for half a year, do you suppose, the Walrus said, that they would get it clear? I doubt it, said the Carpenter, and shed a bitter tear. Oh, oysters, come and walk with us, the Walrus did beseech. A pleasant walk, a pleasant talk along the briny beach. We cannot do with more than 4 to give a hand to each. The eldest oyster looked at him, but never a word he said. The eldest oyster winked his eye and shook his heavy head, meaning to say he did not choose to leave the oyster bed. But 4 young oysters hurried up, all eager for the treat. Their coats were brushed, their faces washed, their shoes were clean and neat. And this was odd, because, they hadn't any feet. 4 other oysters followed them, and yet another 4, and thick and fast they came at last, and more and more and more, all hopping through the frothy waves and scrambling to the shore. The Walrus and the Carpenter walked on a mile or so, and then they rested on a rock, conveniently low, and all the little oysters stood and waited in a row. The time has come, the Walrus said, to talk of many things, of shoes and ships and sealing wax, of cabbages and kings, and why the sea is boiling hot, and whether pigs have wings. But wait a bit, the oysters cried, before we have our chat, for some of us are out of breath, and all of us are fat. No hurry, said the carpenter, and thanked him much for that. A loaf of bread, the walrus said, is what we chiefly need. Pepper and vinegar, besides, are very good indeed. Now, if you're ready, oysters dear, we can begin to feed. But not on us, the oysters cried, turning a little blue. After such kindness, that would be a dismal thing to do. The night is fine, the walrus said. Do you admire the view? It was so kind of you to come, and you are very nice, the carpenter said nothing but, cut us another slice. I wish you were not quite so deaf. I've had to ask you twice. It seems a shame, the walrus said, to play them such a trick, after we brought them out so far and made them trot so quick. The carpenter said nothing, but the butters spread too thick. I weep for you, the walrus said. I deeply sympathise. With sobs and tears he sorted out those of the largest size, holding his pocket handkerchief before his streaming eyes. Oh, oysters, said the carpenter, you've had a pleasant run. Shall we be trotting home again? But answer came there none, and this was scarcely odd, because they'd eaten every one. See, that's the ending I don't like. So they make friends with these oysters and take them for a nice walk on the beach and imply that there's going to be a picnic, and then they eat them. Don't like that, but I like the wording. Just don't like the end. It upsets me. so there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll be back with another video. It could be about almost anything. It could be something deadly serious, or it could be something silly like this. All delivered with the same style. If you don't like the style of this channel, go and find another one, because this is how it is. This is how we rock. And we'll catch you soon. Rangimarie.